All right, brothers. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this Sherrone Moore situation, right? And I'm sure everybody's heard about it. Even if you aren't a sports fan, I believe on everybody's feed you find some kind of information about the football coach of the University of Michigan who lost his job, right? Now let's talk about this on a surface level first, right? Because I'm 100% aware that it's much deeper than what it seems, and it's something that us as men we have to talk about because it's wiping men out on a regular basis, right? So on surface level, of course, let's talk about, okay, the man made some poor decisions. The man was a married man, beautiful wife, beautiful children, amazing job, $6 million a year, coaching at the top programs on the planet, and he lost all of that behind a woman, right? And if y'all don't know, he got entangled with another employee with the University of Michigan. I'm almost sure he got her pregnant. She ended up losing her job, and then she ended up kind of throwing him under the bus, and the whole thing came down. He ended up going to her house. Something happened. Now he's in jail. So right, he went from literally the $6 million man to in jail within a 24, maybe even less than 48-hour period of time, right? So let's get that out the way. He made a bad decision, right? But you got to understand, man, this is biblical. Like when you hear me talking about the Proverbs 5 woman, off and on, I don't talk about it as much, but when you hear me talking about the Proverbs 5 woman, you have to understand this right here, what's happening to this brother, it's happening on a regular basis. Matter of fact, I believe the same thing is happening to Wes Watson. You know what I'm saying? Like getting entangled with the wrong woman and relinquishing your energy. And the reason y'all know, for a lot of y'all that have been watching me for a while, the reason this whole conversation is so personal to me, man, is because I actually saw my father. Go down a certain route and lose his life ultimately behind a Proverbs 5 woman. Like you gotta understand when the Bible says her feet lead to death, or is that something like that? Proverbs 5, y'all have read it. Proverbs 5, 5 through 8, I believe. Her feet lead you straight to death, which means if you start entertaining a certain caliber of woman, a certain energy of woman, like your life is going towards destruction. And sometimes death just means you losing everything you had. Sometimes death means literally. You know what I'm saying? So, man, it's imperative, brothers, that we understand that us as men are losing our lives, right, on a regular basis behind this. I can even look at relationships, from some years ago when I really understood the power of this woman. I was in a relationship, man, where I lost everything by choosing a woman over purpose. You know what I'm saying? So it is much more common and it's much easier than you think. So let's talk about these, what I refer to as beautiful faces of evil. Let's talk about these women, man, that are actually just demons in feminine form. You know what I'm saying? Like when we read Proverbs 5, or when we read texts, like that about a woman that will take our souls, we automatically think of the harlots. We automatically think of the streetwalkers and the 304s and the thotties, man. But you have to understand, the woman that will snatch your soul is cunning. The woman that will snatch your soul, the woman that will throw you off course, man, is very beautiful, is very sweet. The Bible even says what's going on, brother? The Bible even said her words and her lips are sweet and smooth like oil. So the woman you think you're avoiding, this is going to be the woman, man, that you're liking all of her pictures on social media. The woman that you're saying, hey, you know what? I'll take her home to visit mom one day. The woman that you're saying, hey, you know what? There's a possibility, man, that I can see me and this woman going the long way. That's going to be the devil in disguise, bro. That's going to be the devil in disguise, man. And you have to understand this. Like the whole objective. The whole objective is a power play. The whole objective is about obtaining God energy. Because you have to understand, and I've talked about this in videos before, about certain levels of women moving a certain way. You have to understand that these women, man, they feed off of your God energy. So in other words, when you see your career taking off, you know what I'm saying, and you're moving in a certain way, you're aligned, you're walking in a singular truth, you have to understand there's a God essence that's generating in you. Women can smell that, bro. When you moving like that, and then add into that, man, you having a good, healthy relationship, beautiful wife that you're in alignment with, y'all are having kids and building big homes and having good careers. You have to understand there's God essence coming out of you, coming out of the whole relationship. You have to understand this, bro. Like the devil is waiting to feed off of you, man. Like some of the stuff I talk about, and again, I don't talk about this stuff as much, but like when I'm talking about, like if you're gonna be in a relationship, moving that relationship, don't be having no rotation. It's for a reason, bro. Because I understand that if you go down this wrong path, bro, you're talking about destruction. And most men, when they face this destruction, they can never come back from it. Most time when you face this destruction, you can never come back from it. Like Sherrone Moore, he's going to be okay. He's going to, like, life will be okay for him, but he'll never bounce back to where he's at right now. He'll never bounce back to here. Like well, let me not say that. Let me not say he won't. It's going to be very challenging for him to. He can, but it's going to be very challenging for him to. And most men that when they take a blow like that, they can't. When I think about my father, apparently my father will never be able to bounce back to the life that he had. You know what I'm saying? Because it ultimately took him completely down. You know what I'm saying? So you got to understand when you're moving in a certain way, man. You have to understand the enemy is coming, bro. And the enemy is not only coming, the enemy is cunning. Like I would love to, even when I was making this video, I was going to make a video, man, and talk about like the traits and attributes of this type woman. You know, and you got to understand, we can talk about the traits and attributes of a Proverbs 5 woman all day, but a Proverbs 5 woman is so cunning, like they're evolving just as fast as men are evolving. So you might think you have a certain type woman figured out, brother. They're going to evolve as quickly as men can evolve. They're going to look more humble. They're going to look more modest. They're going to speak more sweeter. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to talk about what signs and symptoms to look for in a woman. The thing is, we have to talk about signs and symptoms to look for in ourselves to make sure we're aligned. You know what I'm saying? But you got to understand what I was getting to a second ago, man. The ultimate goal of this woman is energy exchange. Her sole purpose is to get God energy out of you. Now she's going to do that primarily one of two ways. She's going to do that by keeping you distracted from your purpose, right? When I say keeping you distracted from your purpose, let's say you're aligned. Your life is doing a certain thing because your rituals are right. Your demeanor is right. Your thoughts are right. Your habits are right. The places you go are right. The books you read are right. Everything is in alignment, so your energy is doing a certain thing. That woman is going to come in and distract you from that. She's going to come in and take you off that path. For example, if it's part of your ritual to wake up every day and meditate, and then to read for an hour, and then to get behind your computer and work for 3 or 4 hours, and then to meditate, and then to wake up and then to get out and go to the, or whatever your rituals are. If your rituals are what's built your world, that woman's going to come in and start slowly tapping away at what you're doing. Going to slowly come in and start throwing your ritual off, throwing your habits off. You know, having you doubt yourself, having you procrastinating, having you put things on the back burner to give her that energy. Think about this. If the work is the worship, which we've talked about over the last number of videos, if the work is the worship, anytime you're doing something outside of that work, or anytime you're choosing to do something beside that work, what you're saying is, I would rather put this God energy, this worship, into something else. In this case, somebody else. It's just an energy exchange, man. These women will just slowly feed off a man as long as they can. It's an energy exchange. So she's either going to keep you distracted from your mission, or she's going to completely win off of your demise. She's either going to keep you distracted and just nickel and dime your energy as long as she can, or she's going to completely thrive off of your demise. Which in a lot of cases, like when we have the conversations about energy swaps, or what's that other word we use? Not energy swaps, but destiny swaps. When you talk about destiny swaps, and I mentioned this in a video some time ago, but I didn't really go down into it. And I'm not really going to go down to destiny swaps now. But when you talk about a woman having a destiny swap, when you see men of power, or you see men of substance, or you see men of fame, or whatever word you want to use, and they take this hard drop behind a woman, and all of a sudden that woman's life just takes off, that's a destiny swap. In other words, what I'm saying is, a woman will see a man of a certain caliber and do her work to where that man will sacrifice that, and once he falls down, the energy is now hers. Especially when you talk about a man being pissed off and all this stuff, he's doing nothing but shoveling his energy towards her, man. You know what I'm saying? So those are, you gotta understand, this type woman, it's all about getting energy. And in the perfect world, man, most women would, and I'm not a woman, nor am I a Proverbs 5 woman, but most women would prefer to get a man that's just sacrificing himself, sacrificing his essence for his life. Like you have a lot of people, think about this. You have a lot of people right now that seem to be happily married. All it is a man married a Proverbs 5 woman. You know what I'm saying? When you see those men walking around and they're holding their girl's hand and they have this miserable look on their face, they're going through it. What that look on their faces is saying is, I know I'm supposed to be doing something else. I know I'm supposed to be giving this God essence to my brothers so they can be better men. I know I'm supposed to be starting this business. I know I'm supposed to be building this app that will change the world. I know I'm supposed to be in the pulpit giving sermons. I know I'm supposed to be leading Jumu'ah prayer. You know, I know I'm supposed to be starting that landscape business to change people's lives. I know I'm supposed to be doing that thing that God showed me. But in exchange, or as opposed to that, I'd rather give this God energy to this woman. Because she's so fine, because she's so cute, because she does that thing. I'd rather give that in. So when you see that look on these men's faces, that's the look. That's the look. That's what's going on inside of their heads. And then when they're out and about and they see men that are walking in that light, and I'm not saying you can't be in a relationship and walk in that light, but when you see men with the woman that a man is commanded, she either be in alignment or not be there, they can see the difference, and it just puts them in a darker spot. So either that's going to take place, man, or you're gonna have a man that's on a high horse, and almost like overnight his life goes to zero, like Brother Shamar. Or Brother Moore, if I'm saying his first name wrong, like Brother Moore. It's all about an energy exchange, man. And you gotta understand, a lot of times, and this is why we don't have this conversation enough, because a lot of times it's not that sudden fall to quote unquote hell. A lot of times most women will just nickel and dime you. It's not like, most women aren't trying to ruin you instantly, unless you put her in a situation where she's about to lose everything, or that's her only option. Like in this situation, him and this young lady had been vibing for no telling how long. Vibing. I believe I heard something, a news article said, they said, well, pretty much everybody knew. Pretty much everybody knew it except the wife. College knew, football players knew, everybody knew something was going on, and old girl was cool with it. But she was pregnant, I believe. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But it wasn't until she lost her job, because I believe old boy had to fire her. It wasn't until she lost her job and now her back was on the wall where she was like, okay, I'm about to go to zero, or I need to go ahead and snatch all this man's energy. It wasn't until that, until things changed, man. So So just understand, man, a lot of times it's not going to be instant. It's going to be a nickel and dime, man. And if a woman can get you, think about this. If a woman can put you in a position where now you're just slowly, intravenously, if that's the word, feeding her God essence until you die, but that's a much better package deal. That's a much better package deal, man. And I'm telling you, man, I see men. I'm gonna tell you this. If you're a man and you've been in that situation before where you knew you were in a relationship and you knew you were giving your God essence away, you knew you weren't doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you felt that feeling, you can see that on a man's face after that. You completely recognize that look. You completely recognize that frequency going forward. You know what I'm saying? So now let's talk about ways to avoid. So how do we avoid this? The first thing I'll say is this. I don't care how you do it, by whatever means you have to, man. At some point, brothers, you have to overcome the seductive energy of women, right? And when I say the seductive energy of women, I don't want that to sound like women have this evil power or evil. I'm saying the aura of a woman that men like, that men are drawn to, that sexiness, that sex appeal. That thing that makes your mind cloudy when you see a baddie and you like that, whatever that thing is, you have to overcome that thing. I'm not saying to rid yourself of enjoying that energy of a woman, but I'm saying you have to get to the point where it doesn't control you. I'm gonna say it another way. You have to get to the point where when you interact with the woman, if she's leading with sexual energy, like she quickly understands she has to pull something else out of her bag because she understands you aren't drawn by that solely. Because you have to understand most men are driven by that. Most men are driven by that. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of women know this. And I'm gonna tell you, if you can overcome that lack of control over your sexual energy, man, it will protect you in a lot of scenarios. And I'm not going to sit here, I'm not going to even lie and act like I've always made the best decisions when it comes to women, or there were times where I didn't let lust take control or whatever. But once you get a control of that, man, it's going to be very hard. It's going to be much harder for this demon in disguise, I'll call it, man, to come in and snatch your soul, man. So get control of your sexual energy. And to really get control of your sexual energy, it's not even a matter of you just trying to discipline yourself out of lust. You get control over your sexual energy when you understand how powerful it is. That's where the control comes in. It's like the same scenario that I say, you know, if somebody is walking around the house, right? You just walking around the house. Now I say this with my brothers in the power circle. I use a scenario like if you're walking around the house and there are kids walking around the house, you're just kind of chilling. But if you're walking around the house and you have a loaded weapon in your hand, one in the chamber, and kids are running around, you're walking and conducting yourself completely different. Every breath you take, every step you're aware of the power that's in your hand. So you have to understand that this power in your wand, the power in your stick, has so much control over your world. You have to understand we're literally walking around with loaded weapons, man. So when you give that energy, whether it's laying with a woman or just giving her time of day, when you give a woman access to this power, you're giving that woman access to alter your world. And I'm going to tell you this, if a woman is trying to come into your life and you're married or you have a girlfriend or you in a certain situation and she's still trying to come in your life, that lets you know what time she on. She's on demon time, bro. She's coming straight for energy exchange, bro. So overcome that seductive energy, right? Second, I'll say this. Until you can control that sexual energy, stay solo. Until you can control that sexual energy, stay solo. In other words, if a woman's sexiness, if a woman can just start pulling clothes off or talking sweet and it makes you want to alter your day, you need to be single. You need to be single. Or if you find yourself in a relationship and not just y'all are hanging out, kicking it, whatever, fling, like a relationship, like a committed relationship, and you find yourself still having the urge to step out and look at other women, and that's not the agreement of the relationship, stay single, bro. Stay single, because I'm gonna tell you, it's just a matter of time before that woman creeps into your life and snatches your soul. I mean, you have no idea how many men I've talked to one-on-one, man, who I was telling them to play the whole time. I'm like, hey, bro, this is what's taking place. Oh, she called you and said this? This is what's taking place. This is what's going to happen in 3, 6, 9 months from now. And I've had guys that avoided that and say, bro, I dodged a bullet. I've had guys that say, hey, so I hear what you're saying. I'm going to walk this green mile anyway. And in 3, 6, 9 months, they have to rebuild their lives. So you got to understand, when it comes to this, man, like, I know what I'm talking about. And not just having seen it in my childhood, I've gone through it. And I've seen many of men go through it, man. So I'm going to tell you this. If you can't control that appetite, if a woman's sexuality, if the way she dresses, if the way she does this can alter you from your mission, just stay single until you figure it out. Stay single until you figure it out, bro. And the last thing I'll just say is stay plugged in. Because like I said earlier, like I said a second ago, I said we can sit here and talk about, hey man, look for these traits in the Proverbs 5 woman. She's going to be doing this. She's going to be talking like this. She's going to be doing this, bro. Like that woman can come out of the woodworks and look like the model spouse for you. Whole time, man, she's a wolf in sheep's clothing. Like the Bible, when the Bible says she's cunning and speaks like oil, that means she's always going to be evolving. It don't say she was cunning and smart 2,025 years ago. It says she's smart and cunning. You know what I'm saying? So you really can't adapt to a certain woman. And nowadays you can't tell anyway. Like 100 years ago, you could look and see streetwalkers. You could actually see the women that were after your soul. Like it was evident. You had the good women and you had the ones on the side of the fence. Now if you take 100 women and it's a goulash of both, you can't tell who's who. They talk the same, they look the same, they listen to the same music, they go to the same churches, they do the exact same thing. Good women and demons. So you don't know, man. So the only way you can tell is not by looking at them, but looking at yourself. And I'm telling you, the only way to avoid this woman, man, is to stay plugged in the self and stay plugged in the source. And when I say that's the only way, is because this is what happens, man. When you're walking and you're aligned, when this woman comes in your life, man, like it may seem normal. It may seem normal for your life to kind of do some rearranging. And to be honest, anytime you're a man walking a certain path, living a certain way, and any woman comes in your life is going to do something different, right? Like if a woman comes in your life should increase in some way, shape, form, or fashion. In some way, shape, form, or fashion, your life should increase. But a lot of times, man, we'll get a woman that'll come in our life and we'll say, hey, you know what? I feel my energy is not right. I feel my connection to God is slowly slipping away from my grips. But damn, she fine. But damn, when she wear that black dress. But damn, when we hit the club. But dang, when the way men be checking my girl out when she be. The way this lady be throwing this thing on me when she be. You know what I'm saying? And we'll experience that, man. We'll fall into the trap of that thing and completely unplug from source. Next thing you know, man, we'll look up one day, man, and we're completely off path. We'll look up one day, we can't even see the path anymore. So all I'm saying is let's not look at the woman and her attributes and what she's doing, because like I said, the devil is cunning. Let's look at ourselves. Like I said, the most important question a man should ask himself every single day: who am I? Where am I going? What is my truth? The day that changes is the day everything needs to be audited. I'm gonna say it again. The day you wake up and your identity, your direction, and your truth is different than it was the day before, like it's getting a little weaker. Your authenticity is falling off a little bit. You need to pause and audit everything, every person, and every place in your life. Now, the fans of The Matrix may refer to her as the lady in the red dress, right? While some churchgoers may know her as Jezebel.
But for me, I simply call her the godless woman.